The Haunted Mansion ride is my favorite ride in all of Magic Kingdom. Now, is this adaptation of that ride nope or dope? A single mom named Gabby, played by Rosario Dawson, hires a tour guide played by Lakeith Stanfield, a psychic played by Tiffany Haddish, a wannabe priest played by the great Owen Wilson, and a historian played by Danny DeVito to help exorcise her newly bought mansion after discovering it's filled with creepy ghosts. And that's all I'm going to give you in regard to the general plot of this story, because this is going to be a non-spoiler review of Disney's The Haunted Mansion. The Haunted Mansion is my favorite ride at the Magic Kingdom where I live here in Orlando of all time. You can't tell me otherwise. If you're a fan of It's a Small World and that's your number one, go ahead and unsubscribe from our channel right now. Actually, don't do that. I need all the subscribers I can get. And if you're new and you like what we're doing here, subscribe to this channel. And if I ever go on It's a Small World, it's because typically the lines are about 5 to 10 minutes long and the AC is super cold. The trailers for this movie didn't really do it for me, honestly. I came into this movie with lower expectations, and maybe that helped with my overall experience with this movie. If it could add to the lore and my love of the ride, I'd be down for whatever. As long as the story was decent and there were a ton of callbacks to all different parts of this ride, I'd be satisfied. If you've loved the Haunted Mansion ride, or have at least ridden it once, you're going to appreciate what Disney put into this movie. It has all your favorite ghosts. The hitchhiking ghosts, the knight, the man walking his dog, the gargoyles, the ghost playing on the organ. It's all there, and Disney made sure that their fans would eat, and I came out of the movie full in that aspect. The screening I was in, it was clear that there was many Disney fans in attendance in this movie, because anytime that Disney would throw in something from the ride, it was like Leonardo DiCaprio's meme from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he's pointing at the screen. Anytime something popped up, you heard the crowd. What struck me in this movie was the overarching theme of grief and how to deal with it. I really didn't see that in any of the trailers. It really wasn't hinted at, so it was a welcome surprise. Lakeith Stanfield is our main protagonist in this, who's in grief-stricken after a loss of someone he loved. I've loved him in a couple of movies that I've seen him in, especially his performance in Get Out. And he really gets a shine here and shows a wide range of emotions, from comedic to someone in pain. I honestly wish the movie dug deeper into this aspect of it, as I don't feel it completely knocks it out of the park. The cast is a highlight in this movie, and overall they do gel pretty well together. Owen Wilson plays his typical Owen Wilson self, and he has good chemistry with Lakeith and Danny DeVito to keep things light. Tiffany Haddish is this funny wannabe psychic, but at times there was just a little bit too much comedy for my liking. It felt like they were just trying to have one-liners and quips just for the hell of it. I think the script could have been a little bit tighter and had a little bit less of those one-liners. Both of my kids were at the theater and they both thoroughly loved this movie and thought it was hilarious. Many times in this movie there are jump scares, a lot more horror than I thought would be in this movie. It's scarier than I thought it would be, than was shown in the trailer. So just beware if you're concerned about your kids watching any sort of type of horror. I was startled myself a couple times. The antagonist of this movie was just okay. Jared Leto plays the classic Hatbox Ghost in this movie, and honestly, he's not in the movie much, and by the end, when you actually see him for an extended period of time, he was just okay. There wasn't anything special in his performance or any recognizable characteristics of Jared Leto where I'd go, yeah, that's Jared Leto, that's excellent. If you told me someone else was playing him, I wouldn't argue with you. I think part of it was the overall CGI in this movie, and honestly, the CGI in this movie wasn't great. I hope Disney didn't spend too much on the CGI of this movie to bump up the budget to a level that is just not sustainable. And I hate that for movies in general these days, where you're seeing these huge budgets where a lot of these movies aren't even breaking even. If they keep doing this, movies are just not going to survive. Any of these corporations, after all the strikes are said and done with the writers and the screen actors, I hope they focus on actually the budget. Keep these budgets a little bit lower and see some profit, because we want to see these movies continue on for a long time. This movie's a little over 2 hours long, and it felt honestly a lot longer. There were times where I felt Oppenheimer felt a little bit shorter than this. The pacing was kind of all over the place. Again, they jump back and forth from really funny, light comedy to serious tones. There's long parts in the middle of the movie that drag a little bit, where there's heavy on exposition, more talking, less showing. Honestly, this movie could have been a little bit tighter and better if this was 15 minutes short. Just cut out the fat in the middle of this movie. I think this movie would have been a lot better. Fortunately, this movie is just going to be a nope for me. Guys, let me know in the comments if you've seen this. Type dope if you loved it. Type nope if you agreed with me. Overall, I thought this movie was just okay. Yes, I do love the Easter eggs, things I remembered from the ride that were shown in this movie. That really kept me excited throughout this movie when I saw something I liked. Just like I mentioned, that Leonardo DiCaprio meme. That was me when pointing at the screen when I saw something I remembered and enjoyed from, again, my favorite ride in all of Magic Kingdom. But unfortunately, the pacing of this movie was all over the place, especially in the middle part of the movie. There was just a lot of exposition that really didn't drive the movie forward for me. Lakeith had an outstanding performance as the protagonist of this movie. He showed a wide range of emotion. I do appreciate the heart in this movie. I just feel that they could have expanded more on it. I was definitely surprised. Wasn't expecting that from watching the trailers in this movie. I thought it was just going to be a comedic horror type movie, which it was, but they tried to insert heart into this. I appreciate the effort. In the end, it just didn't 100% work for me. They started to show glimpses of it at the beginning of the movie, and I thought that it was going to carry out throughout, but just with the overall pacing, again, the movie could have been cut short just a little bit, maybe 15 minutes or so would have been a little bit tighter. The comedy was a little bit 50-50 for me. There's a bunch of great actors. I love Owen Wilson, I love Danny DeVito. Lakeith was amazing in this, but they didn't 100% gel for me overall. Jared Leto was kind of an afterthought. I couldn't wait to see the Hatbox Ghost in this movie, as we've seen him in the ride. But honestly, it didn't even feel like Jared Leto needed to be the actor to portray him. He was kind of an afterthought. The CGI was kind of all over the place. So for children, this is probably a good movie for them. Again, for some parents, this might be a little bit too scary for their kids. I think there were times in this movie I felt like I'd rather be on the ride than watching the movie, and that's not a good thing. But it was a nice try by Disney. I never even watched the original Haunted Mansion movie. I don't know if this is any better, but there are some good parts of this movie. Some of it was not so good because of that, because it was just kind of imbalanced. I was kind of torn between it being nope or dope. It's gonna have to be a nope for me. Again, guys, if you liked it, I hope you did. Type dope in the comments. If you didn't, type nope and agree with me. If you're new to the channel, check out our other reactions. Hit that like button because it helps us. Subscribe if you like what we're doing, and I'll check you out later. Peace.